están? Bienvenidos nuevamente al stand de Gifted Citizen, un espacio creado para emprendedores sociales que buscan cambiar la vida de millones de personas en los siguientes años. Hoy estamos con Ryan. Ryan es speaker y también es Gifted Citizen. Y en palabras de Ryan voy a leer lo siguiente. Every person on the planet deserves clean water and one voice can make a difference. Ryan, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Ryan, you started at the age of 6 with the philanthropic work. Can you tell us more about that?
When I was 6 years old, it began as a grade 1 school project, and it could have easily amounted into nothing. But thankfully for me, I was stubborn enough and naive enough to think that I could make a difference. And through a lot of hard work and never stopping, eventually I was able to make a big difference with a lot of different help from all over the world. And now we've gotten to the point where we've done over 1,000 wells, bringing clean water to over 800,000 people. So it turned out for the best.
Ryan, I was reading in your website, you have something that's called School Challenge. What is School Challenge?
Well, how we operate and do all of our projects that we do is all off of donations. And the School Challenge is a creative ways for schools to get involved in doing specific water projects at different schools and communities. So we just started the School Challenge for this year. We're looking to do some work in Burkina Faso at some different schools. So we're just kicking that off and excited to see what kids can do to help be part of the change in the world and bringing people clean water.
Ryan, how do you find your passion?
For me, it was when I was in my grade 1 class and my teacher told us that kids had to walk 5 kilometers to go get water. That didn't really make sense to me. I didn't know how far 5 kilometers was. I was 6. So she explained it by saying 5,000 steps. And that didn't help either because I couldn't count that high. But I remember I counted the steps it took me to get from my classroom to the water fountain, and I counted 10. And it just didn't seem fair. And it just struck me as, something that I was passionate about. So I was going to do something to make a difference. So it was just the idea of putting my hand up and volunteering to raise money for the project. And that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And now it's come a long way.
How do you inspire other people to work in your project?
Well, you just inspire people to take a step forward, to raise their hand, to do something small. I think we have an idea in our society that we leave the big scope problems to policymakers, politicians, to selfless activists, when in reality, the people who make the biggest difference are, my neighbors, my friends, and people who wouldn't normally be involved in something like that. But if you're able to connect it with people and really share that message, the passion, then I think a lot of people really connect and you can create a lot of good in this world. And I think there's a lot more of that in this world than there used to be, but there's still so many people that I think really need to find their passion and really connect with it.
A lot of young people is listening to you. I mean, how can they find their passion?
You can find your passion. We live in a very interesting world, and it's easy to be ignorant of so many of the challenges we face. And I think the best thing you can do is when you find that one thing, like for me it was water in my grade 1 classroom, is to not just let it, go over your head, is to do something small, even if you don't know that much about the issue. When I was in grade 1, I thought that one well was going to bring the entire world clean water. I was a naive 6-year-old kid. But at the end of the day, it ended up making a big difference, even though I thought like that back then. So I don't think you can put that as a weakness, as being naive and idealistic. And sometimes I look at it now being 24 years old, and that was one of my biggest strengths and why the Ryan's Law Foundation started, because I was able to think like that. So I think even as we grow up, it's easy to become pessimistic and cynical about different solutions. You find reasons not to do things. So to find reasons to do things and to think like a 6-year-old, I think is really good and something that we should remember.
And the last question is, what's the point of commitment?
I think the point of commitment is there's so many things in this world that when you find your passion, and it's easy to leave it by the wayside sometimes and forget about it and to be consumed with your own life. And there's nothing wrong with wanting the best things for yourself, but I think at the end of the day, if you can take a step back and have the perspective to connect with what you care about and give something small in whatever context, then I think you're going to be making a bigger difference than you realize. And if we get a community of people in this world that are willing to embrace that, I think we can make a really, really good difference in this world. Yeah.
Ryan, thanks very much for sharing with us. Thank you.